So Jerrod Thomas has been in the technology world, I've got it written down here, for 9 years. And he's going to kick this off with a short presentation about security, and then we're going to have the panel discussion, and we'll have a good interactive time. Again, I think we're going to be limited on microphones, so we might be running around a little bit with those, but I hope to have a good time. With that, Jerrod, welcome. There you go, right there.
Thanks, Kurt. I'm going to talk for just a second here to make sure my level gets set on this and see if we can get the technology to work okay. Technology guy, technology should work, hopefully. As Kirk was saying, the title of the presentation is somewhat of a play on words, with this being the Portland State of Mind, and a secure state of mind is the event. And what that really has to do with is sort of this idea of mindfulness. My partner has been teaching me a lot lately about the idea of Buddhist philosophies and just being mindful of your space and your presence and the way in which you communicate with other people. And really it's that awareness that we need to all sort of breed into our digital lives. So we need to really pay attention when you're online. You need to pay attention when you're logging into services. You need to pay attention when you're using your phone and who might be watching you use your phone, or if you leave it behind, which my roommate famously does all the time. So again, mindfulness is sort of the core idea here. Pay attention to what you're doing when you're living your digital life. And these are the three primary topics that we're going to talk about today. You need to be mindful about password security. Passwords are kind of the weak link with technology these days, and they're the way that most of the bad guys get into your stuff. So password security is a very important and very rapidly evolving topic. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Device security is, again, has to do with your devices. We all live in this digital world now. Show of hands, how many people have a smartphone in this room? I'm going to count how many don't, and I can't. I think that might be 2. So we have 1 that does not. So 1 person doesn't have a smartphone. So your entire digital life is on that thing. You need to be protective of that. And the final part is why I invited Dominic here, which is your digital liability and just overall how you behave in the digital realm. It's probably a lot more public than you think it is. So password security. Now, you're all going to roll your eyes at me, and you're going to hate me for talking about this, because password security is difficult. It is not something that anyone has made the perfect solution to yet. There are some interesting things on the horizon, so everyone should keep your eyes out for this sort of thing. But in general, what you want to do is you want a strong password. So you want 12 or more characters, and that's a baseline rule. The Odin account manager, your PSU passwords need to be a minimum of 8 characters. If you exceed 12 characters, though, you can start using dictionary words, which isn't necessarily the best thing in the world. New research has shown that they can actually crack any giant combination of words using new techniques pretty easily. But by adding some randomness to that, not using personal information, and incorporating sort of odd capitalization or random characters in there, you can defeat most of those issues. So again, come up with something that's a passphrase or a collection of words, and then just mess it up in the middle somewhere. Mess it up here and there. And don't reuse your passwords as the final thing. And that's the one that gets most people. One of the main ways that people get your password, or it's not necessarily one of the main ways, but it does happen frequently, is happened to Sony with the PlayStation Network. The hackers got a hold of their database. So they attacked their website. They grabbed all the passwords, which were hashed, which were scrambled in such a way that they couldn't see them. But the hackers could take that offline and then attack that group of passwords for long enough to basically crack 80% of those passwords. If your password had followed these guidelines, you would have a very low chance of having your password hacked. You would have been in the 20% that would not have lost your billing information and your personal information and your address. And then again, with your password, this is a free picture I got off of Wikipedia. I love the Wikipedia Commons licensing images. Keep it secret and keep it safe. A lot of us share our accounts, share our passwords, share our devices with each other, but you really need to be careful with that. Even within your own family, you should have somewhat siloed identities, siloed passwords, and don't share things. Don't write your password down if at all possible. I actually read some research and some articles that said it's better to write it down than to have a weak password. But in general, if you can avoid it, then avoid it. And one way to do that is to use a password manager. Password managers are applications you can pay for. There's some free ones. They'll store all your passwords for you. You can make crazy long passwords, and then you just use the password manager to insert it where you need it. That's really one of the only feasible ways for you to keep all of your passwords separate for every single site that you use. So again, one of the key requirements is don't use the same password in multiple places. You should split that up. Password manager is really one of the only realistic ways to have 100 different passwords and know what the heck you're doing. And the last thing is don't give it away. As Kirk had mentioned in the beginning, phishing attacks are getting extremely complicated. They're starting to look at institutions. They've been doing this to banks for a while, where they'll make fake bank sites so it looks like you're logging into Bank of America, and you're like, oh, my bank sent me an email. It's very well structured. They're starting to do that for educational institutions as well. So they're starting to look at the educational institutions or other large organizations, direct emails at them, and then clone their login systems so that you're not logging into Bank of America, you're not logging into PSU, you're actually logging into an illicit site that is taking your password and then will try to mess with your account. Oftentimes use you as a spam relay, in some cases steal your identity. So again, you have to be very mindful of where you go to log in, and then we'll talk about that a little bit more. So this again is a huge topic because we can't stop the internet from emailing us bad things. Google has amazing spam filtering, and you'll often, if you ever click in your spam folder, you'll see tons and tons of things in there. And most of them, a good chunk of them, are going to be phishing attempts. So if you ever want some examples, don't follow any links in there, but your spam folder might be full of them. But these are some of the key ideas, like look for strange URLs, look for bad grammar and structure to the email, and always pay attention at the links. Always pay attention where you're going to go. So it's really important. If you have something you don't know about, report it to us, because we do want to track those emails. The only way we know that we received a phishing attempt is if one of the security team was phished and we sent it through, or one of you received something you find unsolicited, strange looking. Send it over to us, we'll validate it, and we'll get it on. We're going to have a panel at the end, so I think just save your questions up, and we'll be talking about that more. So the federal government has a campaign going now called Stop, Think, Connect. So again, right in the center of that is think. So be mindful of where you're going. Stop for a second, think about what you're doing, and then connect to where you go. So always look at the URLs, and if type in the URL. So if you know you're going to PDX website or you're going to PSU resource, type in mail.pdx.edu. Type in d2l.pdx.edu. Go to the resource manually. That way you know where you're going. You're not going to get spoofed by a link. And then if you go to our single sign-on, which you've all seen our CAS authentication portal, you should always see this extended validation certificate, which actually is somewhat recent for us. Your banks should all do this as well. So this is, again, be mindful of where you're going and look for these kinds of things. This giant green logo with the full company title is a slightly more expensive certificate that validates where you're going. And if you click on it, it'll give you a whole bunch of information about where is that institution, what is its title, where is its business located, and other information that you should always be mindful of when you're going to sites that you need to make, your bank or something very important. And again, report. If you see anything fishy, send it forward. abuse@pdx.edu. The second part is your mobile devices. So again, this is sort of the gateway into your life. I think Kirk used the analogy one time when we were discussing sharing iPads in the classroom where anybody could check them out as sort of like sharing a toothbrush. There's a lot of data on that thing, and it's kind of scary. If you log into Dropbox and you put your taxes on Dropbox so you can get to it, and you hand your iPad to somebody else, they can just click on the Dropbox button, boom, they have your taxes. They have everything they need to steal all of your data. Use a passcode. Even if it's a 4-digit passcode, it is better than nothing. It will give you the time you need to use the next part, which is lost your device, you can go find it, or you can remote erase it. Android Device Manager and Find My iPhone provide those. It's totally free. Just sign up for it so that you can go recover or erase your sensitive data remotely. Keep yourself safe. And then choose your apps carefully. Viruses are starting to come through applications. They're stealing your contacts. They're doing nefarious things with your phone. And you just need to be sure you trust the app vendor before you buy the applications. And again, laptops, pretty much the same thing. It's always a good idea with all computers to require password on wake. Our new power policy we pushed everywhere does that automatically. Do a lost my device or remote erase if you have the facility to do that. On Macintoshes, Apple provides that service with the same iCloud integration. But you can pay for those services if you have a PC. Always use antivirus. We have McAfee antivirus available for anyone while they're affiliated with the university, or everyone can use Microsoft Security Essentials on Windows machines for free. Encrypt your data. It's a little bit more complicated if you're willing to go the distance. There's encryption facilities in the Mac built in nowadays, as well as Windows machines. When we're also piloting full disk encryption for PSU-owned assets, and we'll be hopefully rolling that out early next year. And then one of the most important things is dispose of your equipment properly. If you're going to give your computer away and you've had it for 10 years, everything you've ever done is on that computer. All of your personal data is on that computer. Kirby's low-tech recommendation to his uncle was just run it through a drill press several times. Just mangle the hard drive. Don't give or donate your computer without knowing that your data has been erased. Ask a techie friend of yours. Pay somebody to dispose of it, or find somebody with a drill press and run a drill through it. That isn't the DoD standard, but that is definitely going to dissuade most people from finding any data on that thing. Again, mindful of when you dispose of this. My mother's husband gave her iMac away that had business records and stuff on it, and it was just like, you have to think of these things beforehand. And then the last part is digital liability. So internet safety is a shared responsibility. Any one of us gets compromised, it's the potential landslide that will cause more of us to become compromised. We all are in this ecosystem together, and if we don't set up our servers right and somebody hacks and steals things that way, if you have your account taken over and then somebody crafts a really good looking phishing attempt from your email and it comes from Jess or somebody to all of his constituents, they're going to follow that link. You yourselves are a conduit for these actions, so you need to be sure that you're a denizen of this security environment. Like, you need to make sure you're paying attention. And again, one compromised account always leads to more. And the last part is the internet is a public environment, and misconduct does have a price. If you're doing illegal things on your computer at home and you forget to close your BitTorrent agent and you come to campus and you start BitTorrenting, people will notice. PSU will receive DMCA Digital Millennium copyright notices, and you will get a letter. And that can result in censure actions. It can result in, if you're an employee here, actions against your employment through HR. It's really important to sort of understand what your liability is and what your actions are. You'll get those notices at home as well. If any of you have had that from Comcast, you need to be really careful. And really think about, what is it that I'm doing? Is what I'm doing illegal? Maybe you shouldn't be doing it. And then your online identity is important, and there's a couple quotes down here about how 56% of companies will go and find you on social media sites. And if you're holding a red plastic cup and about to vomit on your friend, it's probably not going to do so well for your job opportunities. And then also 24% of all identity theft complaints to the Federal Trade Commission are from college students. So again, if you're not careful with your password, if you're not careful with those phishing emails and you follow those links, people will then steal your identity and use it for nefarious purposes. So just be very aware on that. And last, each and every one of us is a deputy on PSU's security team. So our security team is about 7 or 8 IT professionals that meet every week, talk about the issues of the day, issues of the week, but every single one of you is on that team. We need you to report things that are weird to us so that we can act and make sure that we can protect everyone else and that we can notify the individuals if something is going fishy with their account. So keep an eye out, secure your devices, stay protected out there, and then that's it. So we'll get into our panel presentation next.